The Omicron era is here. Those were your words of warning, Dr. Bogoch. We have been using them on our network, and they were echoed by Dr. Tam and have been by numerous other health experts. What exactly are we facing right now?
Well, we're facing a very rapid takeover of Omicron, and Omicron will be the dominant variant, might even be the only variant in Ontario and then probably elsewhere in Canada in a matter of days to weeks. This is moving at an impressive pace. We'll probably see an impressive rise in case numbers as well. We can't forget that about 76% of all Canadians have received at least two doses of a vaccine. We have a wall of immunity here, but the real issue here is 2 doses are good, 3 doses is better, and we really need to roll out that 3rd dose vaccine strategy quickly from coast to coast.
Okay, I'm going to look at what we need to do with you in just a second, but as I've been on the air this morning for the past 90 minutes, there has been a lot of international breaking news on Omicron, a lot of it out of the UK on Omicron, and the Health Security Agency looking at a number of things. You talked about how quickly it's spreading. The growth rate is shortening, according to British experts, even shorter than 2 to 3 days. Also talking about people with severe illness. The thinking had been that Omicron was more mild, but already there are hospitalizations, 10 in hospital, and the expectation there of a significant increase in hospitalization. As all of this new data comes in fast and furious, Dr. Bogoch, what are the indicators that you're watching most closely that we should be paying attention to?
Well, we have to watch how fast this sweeps through Canada, and it is sweeping quickly through Canada. For example, as of yesterday, it represented about 21% of all positive cases, but that's likely well out of date because it's got a doubling time sometime between 2 and 3 days. So it will be the dominant variant. We can't ignore the case numbers. Those are very important. You cannot ignore the daily case numbers. But of course, we have to look at hospitalizations and our ICU capacity in particular, because ICU is a very significant bottleneck in Canada. We also don't have a lot of healthcare personnel. There's been significant attrition over the last 18 months. Who can blame them? It's been terrible working in healthcare during the pandemic. So we do have issues with healthcare capacity, and I think we should watch our healthcare capacity metrics very closely.
All right. So what is the best and easiest thing for us to do right now?
So a couple of things. This freight train is barreling at us very quickly, and you're not going to stop the freight train. What you can do is you can blunt the impact of this. And how do you do that? Well, we've got a few tools that will be very, very helpful. Step number 1, 3rd doses. We need a rapid and urgent 3rd dose strategy. We do. 2 doses is really going to help, but 3 doses is better. We have the vaccines, we have the willing arms, we have the ability to mass administer vaccines, and we need an all-hands-on-deck approach to get 3rd doses into people who are 18 years of age and older as quickly as possible.
Can I just jump in before you carry on? Just jump in before you go on. The Ontario Hospital Association is saying it wants to move right now to implement mass vaccination programs. So is that the kind of thing you think needs to roll out across the country?
Oh, and we're watching it happen. Okay. It is happening. So you've got that. You've had communications to primary care in the province of Ontario to say, listen, we need you to focus your attention on reaching out to your communities and to people that you serve to start vaccinating more quickly. So you're watching this mushroom as we speak. It's not about to happen. It's happening, and it's going to continue to happen.
What else?
The other point, too, go ahead.
No, what else? Sorry, you were going to continue. Yes.
Rapid tests. I think we should flood Canada with rapid tests. There should be no rapid tests sitting on a shelf collecting dust in a warehouse. They should be in the hands of Canadians with very simple messaging. Here's how you use it. Here's when you use it. Here's what you do with a positive test. Here's what you do with a negative test. Simple. And just put those in the hands of Canadians. Now, Ontario has a very innovative program where they're sending every student home with 5 rapid tests to use over the course of the holidays. So there's about 10 or 11 million rapid tests going to homes in Ontario. That's a great start, but that could be built on. Nova Scotia is a model for how to get rapid testing out into the communities. And I think everyone should be looking very closely to the Nova Scotia model and just pushing copy, and paste. We don't have to reinvent the wheel. They've done a wonderful job. We just have to do exactly what they did. So
this is a little, I continue to be a bit flummoxed by this. Everyone's now saying move quickly on rapid testing, but why has this been so problematic? And why have jurisdictions been so hesitant or so reluctant to use rapid testing as a tool?
Heather, don't get me started.
I'd like to get you started. Help me understand this.
We've been talking about this for a year.
I mean, I know it's not perfect. You've made that clear. But seems to have a place, according to everyone now. And yet,
glad it's made the media cycle. Like, I'm glad it's suddenly popular. But like, for over a year, we've been pushing. This is crazy. We have the tools. We know how to use them. We know what they do. We know what their limitations are. We're not aiming for perfection. It's just a helpful tool. It's not a silver bullet, but it's an added layer of protection. Like, you don't tell people to not use condoms because some people might put a condom on or not use it incorrectly. You flood the market with condoms and most people will get it right. Obviously it's not a perfect analogy, but I think you get the point.
I do. All right. Well, we'll talk about rapid testing. This is going to be part of our conversation for the next couple of days. Can I ask you about a couple more things? I mean, there are many people who are saying, boy, we can't mobilize for these mass vaccination programs all the time. There need to be alternatives. There need to be, maybe these inhalable vaccines that may be pill form. We're getting word from Pfizer this morning, and this is again from Pfizer, but about its COVID pill. Not a vaccine for prevention, but for treatment. And if given within 3 days of the onset of COVID symptoms, according to Pfizer, it reduces the risk of hospitalization and death by 89%. So the application is before regulators for this pill. What do you think of this release, and where might this fit, Dr. Bogoch?
Bring it on. We need it. We need therapeutics, and we need them badly. Most of our therapeutics are geared to hospitalized individuals. This is a fantastic product because, number one, it's a pill. It's not an infusion. You don't need any fancy schmancy setup to get an IV in. It's just a pill. And number two, it keeps people out of hospitals. So this will help on so many levels. The bottlenecks here are, of course, you need to start this as early as possible. So that also means you need testing. And you need the ability to test. Hey, here come those rapid tests again that we've been talking about for a year. But you need the ability to confirm a test quickly in real time so that you can make a decision to use this pill or not. I think if it really is 90% in protective and keeping people from being hospitalized, that would be fantastic, and we could put it to good use. Remember, Merck's pill was initially built to be 50%. And on subsequent analysis, that went down to 30%. That's still something. That's still helpful. But I think we should be careful in interpreting these numbers, and we'll see how they work in real world settings. Regardless, if we can take hospitalizations from this and bring it down to this, we're doing something very, very important. Okay.
One final thought. Here we are talking about a tidal wave of new cases. We have provinces in the country that are now bringing back restrictions and tighter measures. For many people, it feels almost like March of 2020 when this whole thing began. And I'm wondering why it's not, in your view, but they want none of this. They're just done with COVID. And I'm wondering, Dr. Bogoch, how we make people care at this point.
Okay, 2 points. One, it is not March of 2020. We're in the vaccine era. 76% of Canadians have 2 doses of a vaccine. That helps. Obviously, 3 is better, but that helps. So we have a population that has significant immunity. Plus, we have a ton of vaccines and the ability to administer those vaccines. This is not 2020 at all. The second point is, pandemic fatigue is real. People are fed up with this. We've been dealing with this for 18 months. There's been psychological harm, financial harm, physical harm. I mean, this has been horrible. Who can blame people for ignoring this or just saying, I'm done with this? We're all done with this. But this is really where you need to have a multi-pronged approach. You have to have sound policy that makes sense so people listen to it. You have to have sound communication so to express whatever your policy is to get better buy-in. And you really need to enroll behavioral change experts and communications experts, right? Like, it does nothing for me to sit here and say, get a vaccine. You really need to have age, language, culturally appropriate communication. I would take this out of the hands of medicine and public health and government and put it into the hands of marketing agencies and people who are experts experts in getting people on board and in changing behavior, and have them drive the ship. Here's the message that we want to convey. Go for it. And you have it on media and social media, and that's how you get people on board.